Hello everybody, welcome back to another video. I'm Purple Health and Gaming here, and today we're playing some more Bloons Adventure Time Tower Defense. So, you guys, one of you, I'm sorry I forget the name right now, recommended that I do a tower guide, and originally I wasn't so sure about it, but then I thought it through a bit more, and I realized there actually is quite a bit to say about each individual tower. And also, not to mention names, but there are a couple guides, not for every tower out there, but they're not very well done. So I figured I would do more of my personal one, because I have quite a bit of knowledge on this game, experience, and honestly, a lot of you guys are constantly asking for tips and advice, and I figured it might be worthwhile. So we're going to start off with Finn, because if you're going to start off with a tower, we might as well start off with the first one, which is Finn. So Finn is actually a really interesting one, because he has like a meta, like a solid meta, and it's called Eco Finn. Many of you have probably heard about Eco Finn. If you haven't, well, it's a pretty common build. Technically, you can use him for defense. Alright, so here's the thing. There basically are two builds. He can be really good damage, or you can use him as Eco Finn. Most people use him as Eco Finn because he's $300, you place him down, he lasts the first 10, 15 rounds, however long it takes you to get up all your farming, and especially early game, because his upgrades lead to Brofist. If you didn't know, if you have him and Jake nearby, get right in the gloves, Brofist, bonus money making. So people place Finn, they have the Eco Finn build, get right in the gloves, place Jake, get Brofist, and boom, then you get any other money making you have access to. And it works really well. It's a strategy you start doing right practically at the beginning of the game, since you always have access to Brofist. And honestly, for the most part, you keep going until you're basically too overpowered to really care about Impossible. But I mean, some maps you always have to. So I went for an attack speed sword because you do want as much attack speed as possible. Attack speed's pretty important for this. Technically, you could go for No Thung. Sometimes I'll generally go for, I don't actually have it right now. It's equipped to a different character, but if we go quickly, sometimes I will use No Thung because it gives base lead pop power, which is really handy. But if you're going straight for the Eco Finn, it's not important. It's not useful, but it's not super important. So I recommend Attack Speed Sword. The Amazingly Epic Sword's a pretty good one, but anything really works. So the big one, actually the best of all of these items, is actually this rare item right now. Yeah, it's actually a rare is the best one. Melee attacks give an additional $2 cash per attack. And you know why it's so good? Per attack. Not per damage, not per pop, per attack. Every time he swings the sword, additional $2. That's a really big one, and it's only a rare trinket, which makes a big difference. Then there's the more common one you hear about that's actually, in my opinion, one of the worst ones, which is Mystery Cave Pick, +1 cash per pop to all melee attacks. This one's based on pop, it's half as much. It can be good, it depends on the scenario, it's definitely not bad, but honestly I think the Thief Dagger is probably better in most scenarios. Not necessarily endgame, but early game it definitely is. If you have it, of course, Banana Replicator, it doubles all balloons. Balloons pop by equipped character give double cash. It's a pretty big one, it makes a lot more money, and doubles all of those effects, which adds up to a lot of money very, very, very quickly. So those are the straight up cash popping. If you do have, hold on a second, this isn't necessarily smart, you can, if you have enough, it's not necessarily recommended, but if you want to, like I said, the more attack speed, the more money they make. So if you go for a Baker Shard, or a Tree Trunks Cutlass, or something like that, probably more likely a Tree Trunks Cutlass, because it gives attack speed to nearby characters, it will, well, simply improve the build. But those aren't that important. Really, it's if you have extra slots or if you sort of want to do some more damage as well. But the next big one is an exclusive trinket to him, the Holly Jolly Vest. $40 around. It's pretty helpful. It is twice as... yeah, that's part of the reason, by the way. He does have exclusive items. It is twice as good as the also super rare Universal Coin, which is plus $20 at the start of each round. This one's at the start. The sweater, I think, is at the end, but regardless, you have both of these. That's $60 a round, and currently with our current setup, this is additional 2 per attack, so $3 per attack. So you get $2 per pop, plus an additional 2 per attack, but it's doubled. So 4 per attack and 4 per pop. So if you pop, let's say, a pink balloon, you're not getting $5, you're getting $24, which is a lot of money. More than 4 times your profits. It's a pretty big deal. Once you evolve those, camo protections are recommended if you do. It depends. Because the idea is that you do generally want him to survive. So giving him camo protection doesn't have to be something fancy. It can be the basic camo protection goggles. It's generally recommended. I would definitely recommend it. But it depends on your situation. If you're playing a game that does not have the camo modifier, then you do not need to have camo, because you'll probably get camo protection through other towers. It really depends on the game you're playing. But camo protection is easily put in. Similarly, swap out you for the time being. Similarly, it's depending on the map, if there are difficulties, you can actually, he has a special pink sweater, which is Finn is protected from negative effects. You can also technically use the also rare, sorry, it's equipped to another character right now, but the also rare Guardian Gem, or Protective Gem, I don't think it works quite as well. Similarly, but not quite as well. And then obviously there is also we head over to Sai, there is also Candy Dive Suit. So giving him, because he has that additional option, he has one more option, so the odds of you having one of the trinkets that makes him immune to negative effects is a little bit higher with Finn, which is nice. I believe you also actually get Pink Sweater from a quest early on, so you should have Pink Sweater quite early on, which is super great. So this is the main part of Eco Finn. These 3, the Thief King's Dagger, Mystery Cave Pickaxe, and Banana Duplicator. Those are the big ones. Then Holly Jolly Sweater. Then Universal Coin. Then there's Attack Speed, Camo. You can actually, if you want, once again, not really important. If this is an actual issue, I would recommend just using No Thing instead. But if you really wanted to, you can also give him, where is it? It is over here, I believe. Yes. The Whirlpool Handle to give Lead Pop power. Really, it depends on the situation. If you want him to be soloing for the first 30 rounds, give him, well, we'll talk about that in a second. Because we are now going into his offensive build. This is the Eco Finn build. It can actually be pretty easily combined with an offensive Finn build, because really you just switch in a couple trinkets, maybe choose this sword over that. Night Sword. It's the best sword. So +2 damage, +1 for 3-star. Every 10th balloon sucks the souls out. It will give him lead pop power. It will give him camo pop power. And it also just makes him do double damage to the balloon he sucks the soul out of, and they move less than half speed. So basically, whatever balloon he steals the soul of gets like 4 times damage. And it's also just does a lot of damage. Will give him lead pop power, similarly. And it also can give him camo pop power, but if there are camo balloons, if he's not your only camo pop power, don't rely on it, because lead balloons, they're slow enough, you're fine. But with camo balloons, it's every 10 hits. So, and he won't actually attack them in advance. He has to get lucky, and he will get camo protection, but you can't rely on him for camo protection unless you get really, really lucky. But that's pretty important. And then there's some pretty basic things. We're just going to unequip all of these for the time being. But yeah, I would still recommend keeping camo protection if you're actually... did not mean to do that. If you actually are going for more of a offensive build, if you want him to be like a strong
tower, then it really does matter a little bit more which one of these you use. If you didn't know, there are a couple camo protection options. Wait, really? All of them are equipped to someone? Okay, so that's the basic camo protection. It's the super rare. If you have it, great, does the job fine. But if you do have an epic, then the epics work pretty well. Where do I have them? Glasses Noticon, it's the better one. It gives 9 range. It's pretty helpful. 9 range makes a pretty big deal. There is also, however, Dragon Eyes, whoever has it right now. Nope. Ice Cannon. No, he has camo protection. Yeah, this is one of the issues that happens when you have so many different towers. Here we go, Dragon Eyes. +2 damage to camo balloons. You can use it, but I would definitely recommend the range, because Finn is a melee character, which means range is really, really important, because he doesn't have very much of it. After camo protection and lead and pop power though aside, then you really do want Baker Shot because he gets lots of damage from other means. Baker Shot's a really big deal because attack speed, and more attack speed. If you do not have someone currently, I really should have taken these off first. Guru meter is important to think about if you do not have someone already using it. If you don't have it, that's fine. All of these trinkets that I'm recommending and showing off, they're not necessary. They're all just things, if you have them, use them, they're the best options. They're always better. There are always alternatives and other solutions you can use. Yeah, Google Meter, if someone else isn't using it, then there's no need. But if someone isn't using it, then Google Meter, it's +3 damage. It's the highest damage increase. Then, personally, I wouldn't recommend Demon Heart because it affects everyone. I would recommend starting off with, also you're more likely to have the Power Meter, because that gives +2 damage to melee attacks. And the, where is it? Tiger Claw, because that's also +2 damage to melee attacks. Really, really big deal. And then, once again, because of all of this damage stuff, you really do want to give attack speed, which means the trinket that, of course, is equipped to someone else, because, you know, my parties are not necessarily pre-built for this, because I generally use Eco Fin, but as you saw here at the start, my Fin build was very, very empty. Okay, here we go. We have him over here. But yeah, Heart Gauntlets are really good. They're, in my opinion, one of the best trinkets in the game because it gives 1 damage, yes, but 15% attack speed, which it's a pretty big deal, I gotta admit. So in this scenario, depending on how many trinket slots you have, these all can be switched out if you have a, go over the list. Damage Ring works very well. If you don't have it, Medallion and Bra Guns, definitely a good option. In fact, it's actually almost as good, slightly worse than Heart Gauntlets, plus you actually have to buy the upgrade, but it's not that bad. Engineer Blueprint is a great one if you're focusing more on Moabs, which you generally would be. This can easily be switched out for one of them. In fact, I might even say it's better to switch it out. There's Demon Heart always as an option. Call of the Gem if you do have Gem of the Gemstone. Then Call of the Gem gives +3 damage plus a laser attack, really big deal. Beyond that, there is more attack speed you can get from PB's hair, plus lots of range, making PB Bubblegums, or Bubblegums hair, whatever you want to call it, very useful. You can get 1 damage from Medallion or Royal Medal for heroic heroes if PB's in range. Lots of these are with PB in range, which we'll get to in a second, in case you're being like, you almost forgot to mention something important. Missile. Truthfully, if you have it, use it. It does 50 damage. 50 damage to more class balloons. Yeah, it doesn't do much to normal balloons, but to more class balloons, insane amount of damage. Easy one to equip, full map range. Put them on him, it's really useful. If you're going for pretty much any damage character, unless they're like insanely overpowered, you're probably better off using the Missile Trinket. So this is probably the build I'd use, to be perfectly honest. He has good attack speed, good damage, range, camo protection, lead pop power. This is level 7 Fin, obviously, so I have 7 trinket slots. You can switch them out as you would. But yeah, this is a pretty good build, solid damage build. It works pretty well. That's lame. Let's see the actual stats, because for money making it doesn't matter too much, but for this side of things, you do want to see the stats. 10 damage, 1.92 attack speed, which is almost double. Pierce range, not that big of a deal, but the range is actually significantly higher. So, pretty big deal on that front. He does a lot of damage, he's really strong. But now we have to get into something, because this entire time so far, which is probably a decent chunk of the video, has been focusing on trinkets and weapons and the 2 sides of Finn. Which is important, but he has a lot of upgrades too, which I really haven't talked about. So you know what, we're going to take this build, because this is the damage build, which means I actually have time to explore more with it. We could definitely try it with EcoFin, but I don't care enough to do that. Because EcoFin, though honestly in my opinion probably the better build, we're using Fin, so we're not going to do that. Honestly, straight up, this is an extreme hard map. We can use Fin. Okay, so we can place Fin right here. As you can see, his range is actually quite massive. So first things first. If you are doing EcoFin, right in the lubs, place Jake, Brofist. Not that expensive, insanely good money making. And honestly, just a really easy thing to do. We'll show you here in once. Man, look at those missiles. Also, wonderful thing about it, The missiles get buffed by his attack speed, so because of the Baker Shroud and things, those missiles fire so fast. Keep in mind, each of those does 50 damage to more plasma rings. It gets pretty insane. But yeah, so this is basically your strategy if you're going Ecofin. Keep in mind, if you're Ecofin, I know this is damage Fin, but even Ecofin, he can survive for 2 rounds, 3 rounds, however long it takes. You place them, you wait. In actuality, we'd probably have enough money by the end of this round, because trust me, Ecofin makes an insane amount of money. Do not equip Missile to Ecofin, though, because if you're using Ecofin, you want him at the front, you want him to be attacking the Bloons first. If he can't handle them, fine, have backup, but don't have backup when it's unnecessary, because you'll be losing out on money. But honestly, I can go straight for Brofist. I believe it gives $150 a round. It does restore lives, but it's not that significant. I think it might be 10 lives. Mostly it's the $150 a round. It may not sound like a ton. It adds up, trust me, especially early game, since it's the only money making you start with. Super duper big deal. However, we're not going to focus on that. I am actually quickly going to get up some Cobras, because we don't have Ecofin. This is actually part of Ecofin too, though. Cobra, Monkey Farmer, if you have him, BMOs, they're more effective than Brofist, so I'd actually go for those characters first, the BMOs, the Cobras, before you get your Brofist, because it's simply more efficient. But then Brofist is definitely a solid one. Then you can go for, if you have it with your level 5 PB, you can go for Royal Decree, but it's not that important. Different money-making methods have different ways. If you're actually interested in insane money-making, I actually do have a really solid Ecofin build in that. I have my most money-making in a 75 rounds with no, perma-stalling video. It's a little bit of an old one, but if you search through, you should be able to find it. It works pretty well. I do actually cover it pretty solid and use a pretty good Ecofin build. So if you want an example more of that, then feel free to check with that over there. But yeah, here, you get Brofist, you'd be fine. But we're not using Ecofin, because that's really the extent of Ecofin. You'd also probably want to give attack speed, range, maybe Pierce, but really, if you're going Ecofin, you get Brofist. Well, you place him, you get your other money making, Brofist, faster attack speed, range, probably, and then you'd be basically good. However, because we're going for damage, we actually want a strong Fin, which means Princess Bubblegum is going to be very, very crucial to us. First things first, I'm going to get all the upgrades. Because I have level 7, I get Big Hearted Hero. It's a pretty nice one. The ability... Okay, so actually upgrades. I probably should have talked about this already. Attack speed, super important. Range, it's not much. It costs $150 though, so 100% do it. Pierce, there's no harm. More Ripple, no harm. Same thing with Big Hearted Hero. It's just a nice buff. Flying Kick, definitely pretty useful. Right in the gloves. If you have weaker trinkets, it's good. But if you're really powerful, I know I've already purchased it, but it's not as worthwhile because it stops them from attacking. Same thing with Flying Kick, but in the process it stuns more abs, which makes Flying Kick a very useful early stun. Or just stun in general. If you have Fin, if you don't have a ton of good options, Flying Kick is super useful. Definitely recommend it if you're struggling with those Moabs. If you're grinding through your first couple hard medals or maps, definitely recommend it. But yes, with PB, you place PB, you buy Bound by Ward, which increases attack speed after Bloon escapes. Yeah, that's not that useful, but here's the thing. That on its own, this is a mistake I've made. So if you don't know this, it's a pretty common thing to find. You can find it pretty easily, but it's also a really easy thing to be oblivious about. If you buy this upgrade and PB is nearby, you can buy, which is exactly, you can buy Regal Presence, which you want anyways, because it increases his range and Pierce. I think you also need Unwavering Loyalty. Yes. And then you can get Royal Promise. Finn's Bound by Ward becomes permanently active. Yeah. So you have to be a little nervous about this, because if you rely on lives, if you are still leaking lives whatsoever, this is a bit of a risk. It shouldn't be a risk, but it can be a risk if you mess up. Lives, if you're playing Impossible, don't even worry about it. Straight up buy this upgrade, no problem. If you're not playing Impossibles, as we are currently not, it's a little bit more risky, because if you buy it, this warning pops up. If you break the Royal Promise by losing lives or selling Finn or PB, you will instantly lose 50 lives. It's definitely a worthwhile deal, but depending on the game mode and setup you're in,
it might not be worth it. If you're doing this too early game, which you probably wouldn't be, because it's a decent amount of money to get to, it's pretty bad. Honestly, we're still in extreme mode. We have 100 lives, so if we do break this, we don't die. But if we leak too many lives and then break it, then we die. So, it's usually pretty fine. If it's impossible, I will warn you, if you have, like, instant revive trinkets, or abilities like Big Coated Hero, you lose them, like, instantaneously. Not very good. But I believe it does more than double his attack speed, as you see here. We can't actually sell PP, by the way, in case you're saying, like, oh, sell. I can't. But it does make him a lot more powerful, more than double his attack speed, I believe. Or at least double, I believe. It's pretty insane. Going over upgrades one more time. So it's not super crazy important. Big Coated Hero is at level 7. It doesn't actually increase his damage or anything like that, so it's not important. But if you have it, it's great. It's a nice prevent game loss. Level 5, you get Fin of Fury, his ability. Stuns and damage nearby balloons. It's not horrible, but for $5,000, there's 100% something better. You could spend it. I wouldn't recommend it, but if you want to go for it, you still can. Not horrible. Does a bit of stunning to mobs, just not a ton. And then, which is his level 3? I think at level 3 it's Flying Kick. Actually, we're probably done here. We could go on for longer with this, but we're pretty solid with those upgrades. We are nearing the end of the guide, by the way. I know this has probably been a while. I'm sorry. But final thing for Finn that we have to talk about is these upgrades, because they are still important. Yes. So, Flying Kick is level 3, so if you don't have it, this is actually a really useful upgrade, so this is a pretty big one. But once you get into level 3, it's obviously still wanting to level up, because trinket slots, as I showed you with these builds, are very important. But his level 5 and level 7 abilities are not that important. They're not that big of a deal to rush to. And that's sort of what I wanted to get at. Medallion and Bloons. If you have the item, if you have something that gives less than 1 damage, basically what it does is it gives 1 damage and 10% attack speed if you buy the upgrade, which is only like $400. So, it is better than Damage Ring, it is better than Medal for Heroic Bravery, and it's better for a lot of things. Is it better than these, the ones that give +2 melee damage? Maybe, depends on your situation. If you're going Eco-Fin, 100%, but you probably wouldn't be using these anyways. But it's up to you, mess around with it as you like. I can't say for certain whether or not it's better to go damage or attack speed. It honestly depends on the situation. Sometimes the damage is a lot better, sometimes you need the attack speed, especially if you don't have as much pierce, which you don't always end up with. So, Medallion and Bloons and Princess Bubblegum's hair, and even Cosmic Gauntlet, because they give attack speed, they can probably be switched out with these. Probably not Goo Goo Meter, but Goo Goo Meter you might not even have on him if someone else is using. You can easily switch that out, Demon Heart, or one of these attack speed trinkets. But if you have Baker Shot and Heart Gauntlets, it's not necessary, but definitely can still be useful. But that's sort of it. That's my Finn build. I hope you guys did enjoy. Please consider liking the video if you did enjoy, subscribing to join the Purple Elephant Squad. We just broke 400 subscribers, which is a big deal, but it's never too early to start working towards 500. I mean, why not? It's Family Day weekend after all, so have some fun. Enjoy yourself, spend some time with your family. It's Friday, by the way, in case you weren't certain. I'd like to give you that bit of a reminder. But I hope you will have a wonderful day. Start to your Family Day weekend. I think Family Day itself's on Monday, but have a wonderful day. I'll see y'all tomorrow. Bye!